What is going on, guys? Chris here and welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be revisiting a video that we did a few weeks ago where I sort of delved into the Rubik method for solving the 3x3 and I've actually been completely taken by it. I think it's a really cool method and I've been playing around with it quite a lot and I've managed to refine it down to an actual method that works every single time. So in this video I'm going to be going through it in a bit more detail and I'm going to be naming this the Rubik's 2.0 method after I guess the Rubik's 2.0 cube, which came out quite a few years ago actually. Much like how the Rubik's 2.0 cube improved on the original and made it a little bit easier to use, this method is doing the same for the method that I kind of went through in the last video. But definitely go and check out that method and my original video. I'll have a link in the description. Definitely go and watch that before you watch this one, because I'm not going to be going into the premise of it as much. I'm just going to assume you already know what's happening. So let's just get started with this method. So the beginning is essentially exactly the same. We're not going to be doing anything massively different for the first layer. So let's get that down. So we're just going to be doing the corners of the white face like that. That was kind of slow, but there you go, it's done. There it is. And then when we go to the top layer, we're going to be doing basically the same thing as well. So that's a matter of permutation first, then orientation. So let's see how that works out. So we want to do a little cycle here, anti-clockwise cycle. I did find if you have a clockwise cycle rather than an anti-clockwise cycle, you can do exactly the same move reversed. So rather than L, U prime, R prime, etc., you can do R prime, U, L. So just reverse it and it will work exactly the same, which is a little bit of a time saver if you do end up having a clockwise cycle. Anyway, the corners are now permuted correctly. That's absolutely fine. Let's orient them correctly with our trusty sexy move. There you go. That part of the puzzle is now solved. We have all of our corners and our centers lined up. So now we just need to go on to the first layer using a lot of M moves, exactly the same as I was doing in the last video. And luckily I guess we didn't have any that were trapped in the middle, so that's good. I did come up with a bit of an algorithm to help with that, but I guess we didn't really need it. But when we get up here, this is where things get very different indeed. So I had a lot of trouble getting the yellow pieces into the top layer last time. I was trying some kind of algorithm like this to kind of shove them up there, but when I got to the last two it never really worked, and stuff like this happened where I accidentally took the whites out. So that's kind of not so good. Incidentally, I have come up with a way to get yellow pieces into the top, and I kind of did it by stealing an OLL algorithm that I used in the last video. So the algorithm like that, which will flip these two, coincidentally also essentially does a U-perm. And since we're not worrying about orientation yet, we can use that anti-clockwise U-perm to our advantage. So let me show you exactly what I mean. If I have this piece in the yellow down here and I need it in the top layer, I can actually shove that in the top, and then when I do that OLL algorithm, it'll do a U-perm to put this piece here, and this piece here. And then when I move back and push it down, obviously we will lose this non-yellow out of the top layer, and this yellow will end up back here, and this one here. So it's a really useful algorithm that you can use, sort of not for its intended purpose, but you know, to your advantage. So let me show you exactly what that is. So I'm essentially doing an R, and then M, U prime, M prime, U2, and then repeat. And obviously we want to restore this afterwards. So we've put the yellow and blue up here, yellow and green here, and the one we didn't want has now disappeared. So we can do that one more time. I've come up with a tiny little optimization for that. Rather than, you know, putting the piece up here then doing the algorithm, you can essentially do lowercase r instead, like that. And just like that, we have all the pieces we need in the top. Now we have what looks like a U-perm here in the top. I actually want to permute these pieces first, and then I'm going to orient them. And we know how to do U-perm from the last video. There is an interesting case that I'm just going to get to now where you end up with a parity. So here, if we take a closer look, ignore the orientations of these pieces. We actually have half of a Z-perm because we have this blue piece solved, we have this yellow piece solved, and then these two need to be swapped, which ordinarily you will never ever get on a normal Rubik's Cube using a normal method. So if the first two layers were complete, this would be an impossible state. So this is essentially a parity, something that we need to fix before we can move on and use our normal U-perms. Now I tried really hard to come up with an algorithm for this, and I spent ages and ages doing like different U-perm cycles and stuff like that. But because we have this middle layer at our disposal, it's actually extremely easy to fix this issue. We can simply do L2, U2, L2, U2, L2, U2. 6 U2 L2 moves. And that sort of fixes it because it does a 180 on these two pieces and these two pieces. Coincidentally, if we have a parity in the last layer, we also have one in the middle layer, so it also fixes the middle layer parity. So it essentially just swaps these two, leaves these two alone, and that ends up giving us a workable U-perm. So we have a U-perm here because we have the yellow and red that is solved, and then we have a clockwise cycle here, green here, blue here, orange here. And you remember my U-perm. Bring down the empty slot for yellow green and pop it up, reset. Now we have yellow blue slot here, so let's bring it down and pop it up and then reset. Now if we look closely, the top layer is completely permuted, it's finished in that respect. We just need to orient these pieces. This looks a bit unusual, of course it does. This isn't normal. Now I've come up with a really useful algorithm whereby we can just flip these three pieces without worrying about anything else. So it's a very simple algorithm. We hold the piece that we want to orient in the top left, so the UL spot, and we just do this algorithm. U, M, U, M, U, M, U, M. Done. That's now finished, and because we're not worrying about the middle layer, we can do that as many times as we want. It doesn't matter that there's three of them. So let's do it again with the yellow and green. U, M, U, M, U, M, U, M. The reason that this works is it's because we send the edge all the way around this middle layer, and we also rotate this layer so that it meets the edge. So let me show you. So we start here and it's permuted incorrectly. We're going to send the piece all the way around the puzzle and we're going to meet it with these two here instead of here. So we essentially match it up one step earlier than it was where it originally started. So U, M, we separated them, U, M, then we do this U, we meet the edge a bit earlier than we would have done if we'd just done M moves. And that solves the top layer absolutely beautifully. Sorry, I'm just very proud of this method. I think it's really, really cool how it works. So now we're on the last step. This is actually quite easy to do, and we can, because we've solved the top and the bottom, we will be able to permute these pieces in the middle very, very easily using just sets of 2 moves. So this doesn't need to be moved at all, that's absolutely fine. This needs to go here, this needs to go here, and this needs to come all the way back here. So we can do this easily by doing one slice to put this guy where it needs to be, and then these two need to be swapped. So we can move that into the disturbed white and yellow layer, so that when we reverse the move and bring it back, all the pieces are permuted correctly. So now we just need to worry about these final two edges that need to be oriented. So to fix this, we're going to be doing the move we just did on the last layer. We can just do the UM move over and over. And because we've essentially solved every aspect of the cube, we'll only ever have 2 or 4 of these edges to solve. That's just the way it is. If you've done the cube correctly and everything else is solved, you'll only ever have 2 or 4. And that's because it'll reset the puzzle once you finish that. If you had 3, you'd leave the middle layer completely disturbed. But if you do sets of 2, it'll fix it. And I'll show you that. So we do UM. That's obviously broken up the middle. But if we turn this face around, keeping the orientation of course, and now we work on this last piece, UM. And we resolve the puzzle on the right hand side because we did a cycle of 2, and we fixed the orientations on the other side. And therefore solved the puzzle. That's it. That is the Rubik 2.0 method. I love it. I love that. I've definitely spent longer than I needed to on that, but just coming up with my own algorithms and using my own logic to figure out what needs doing and how I can do it is just amazing. I sort of hinted at it in my last video that a lot of the puzzle aspect of solving a cube is kind of gone. It's more about reaction time, muscle memory, how fast you can recognize a case and do the correct algorithm for it. But just trying to solve the puzzle like this and figuring out a reliable way to do it is just so much fun, and it's really brought back that kind of puzzling aspect of solving the Rubik's Cube. So who knows, maybe next I'll come up with a Rubik's Speed Cube method just to finish off nicely. But yeah, that's it. That's the end of the method. Let me know if you have any questions about this, or questions about how the algorithms work, or even what the algorithms are. I've tried not to get too caught up in notation, and I've just kind of learnt the algorithms in terms of what they do to the puzzle and what they move around. But if you do need any clarification, let me know. I'll be happy to help out. That's it though guys, thank you so much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you have, remember to give me a thumbs up, leave a comment down below, and then of course subscribe, and you'll be notified whenever I make a new video. That's it though. Hopefully, maybe Erno Rubik will watch this and tell me how far off I was, but this was essentially how he solved the puzzle, so crazy cool. Alright, that's it guys, see you in the next video. Goodbye.